Quick disclaimer before we start this video is this will change the world. Okay, this series is going to completely change the world. And what I mean by this is everything that I've actually used myself to overcome DPDR. The thing is, the reality transurfing principles I've learned, I implemented in a way so I could actually recover. And that is what I'm doing for you guys right here. This is going to be one of the most valuable things you could ever ask for when it comes to gaining control over your reality and specifically translated for your DPDR recovery journey and you getting your life back. The thing is, guys, this book completely changed my life. I'm going to be talking about this very, very shortly, what this book includes and how it actually helped me so much in being able to shape my own life. But this is basically the only book you'll ever need to completely change your own life and shape your own reality. Now, I took this book and I interpreted it for DPDR recovery so you can use the principles in this book that I've studied for years and actually apply it into your own life. Now, this series is being dropped to all of my elite clients. So everyone that's in my program currently that is working towards a recovery in weeks, they get this on top of that just as a bonus, okay? So this is applied to all my elite clients. But what I decided to do was not drop the whole thing, because if I gave this to the world for free, people wouldn't understand the value of it and they wouldn't actually go out and implement these principles because of how valuable they are. So what I decided to do is I was like, you know what? I'm going to drop little snippets, so little sneak peeks, little parts of the program. So different principles I'll actually drop for free on YouTube. So you get a glimpse of what it actually consists of and what it actually, the series is included. So how the transurfing principles actually work for recovery. Now, in this video, this is just the introduction. So I'm dropping the introductional video for the whole entire series on here so you understand exactly why it's so important. So this is just going to go into the actual introduction on why this will change your life. And then further videos, I will drop the actual individual principles. Like here and there, I'll drop a principle and you can apply that into your life, okay? So make sure you guys watch this whole thing. I'm so excited for this to be released to the world and for you guys to see this. You guys have no idea how excited I am to finally be dropping Transurfing Recovery. Now, this is a series, I've been working on for a while, and I've always wanted to make it, but I really didn't know how to put it together. The truth is, guys, this is the book that completely changed my life. It's called Reality Transurfing. It's a practical course on basically shaping your reality any way you want it. Now, this book changed every single aspect of my life in all parts, like the perspective I have on reality, my ability to detach from all problems and really shape my own life. Anything. Like, this book changed every part of my life, and it was one of the core fundamentals that actually got me to recover. Now, when it comes to everything I've done in my program and helping people recover, I've broken it down in many different ways in like a neuroscience, using neuroplasticity perspective to where it makes a lot of sense to people. But I never really, like, the way I did it myself was more on like a spiritual level when it comes to reality transurfing, okay? When it comes to every part of this book, this is how I used to read this 5 days a week. And this is what got me to really shape my own reality, not just recover, but continue to grow in all aspects of life. Now, when it comes to this book, it's hard to interpret this when it comes to recovery. So what I decided to do was to break down the book, the very book that changed my life, into all the principles I got from it and make it so it's interpreted for DPDR recovery. So you can watch the whole series and be able to look at all the principles of this broken down into a way that you can use it so you can recover. Okay? Now, before we get into this book in the series, I want to read the back of the book and go into like what is reality transurfing. So basically this book breaks down all the core principles of transurfing into 78 core principles. Reality transurfing is like a huge series of like 10 giant books, okay? So this is like a quick, I really recommend you read this whole book as it is, after you watch the series. But transurfing is a powerful tool for creating your own reality. When you apply these basic principles, you will gain the power to change your destiny. Even if you are totally new to the principles of transurfing, you can complete the course on creating your own reality in just 78 days, or all at once. The knowledge you gain from the course will open your eyes to the illusory nature of the external world. As you apply the principles to your everyday life, you will come to understand that the physical reality does not exist as a set phenomenon in and of itself. At each moment in time, from numerous possible decisions, you will learn how to make one, the one that helps you to achieve your goals most effectively and create your own reality in alignment with the kinds of events that you decide to do or do not have a place in your life. Materialists focus on overcoming existing obstacles, which they tend to create themselves. Idealists live in a dream world with their head in the clouds. Neither type is capable of shaping their own reality. With this practical course in Transurfing, you have the chance to learn how to do just that. So this book literally teaches you how to shape your own reality, and I thought it was some woo-woo bullshit until I actually went out and applied it, and it got me to literally recover so fast. So this series will change your life, okay? We're going to start off with going into each and every single principle that all the main principles from this book I took and I made it so you can easily interpret them and use them in your everyday life to actually recover. So with that being said, guys, welcome to the newest series. And I'm so excited for you guys to apply this into your own lives and finally get your life back. And not just that, when you do become your highest self, you can continue to excel and use this to anything, like to start your business, to succeed in everything. This is truly how you can detach from any situation and realize that you can create your own reality, and you no longer have to live as the effect to things that happen to you anymore. You can become the cause, the controller, the person that shapes your own destiny. I want to welcome each and every single one of you guys to Transurfing Recovery. Okay, this is life-changing information, so I really don't want you guys to take this series for granted. Okay, this is all the principles I've used to shape the life the way I want it and to continue growing mentally and in all aspects. Okay, so this will change your life if you let it. Okay, you can look at this and say, nah, like this is bullshit, I don't need to apply this, and that could be your reality. Okay, but these principles exist regardless if you want them to or not. So you can choose to either listen to this and apply this into your life or just to not be aware of them. Okay, so recovery isn't about fixing your mind, guys. It's about shifting your state so the symptoms naturally dissolve. And this is what I always talk to people about. I'm like, it's not about who, or it's not about how. It's about the who. It's not about how you recover. It's about the person you have to become in order to recover. So we're shifting our state. We're not fixing anything. We're shifting so the symptoms go away. So what the Transurfing talk will talk about, and when we actually dive into the core principles of it, this is just the introduction. But when we get into the core principles, we'll start to understand that reality is like a mirror. All it is a reflection of our internal, not what we want. So desire is not what we get back, it's the person that we are and the person that we think we are. So however you perceive your own reality is how you're going to get responded to you in the physical. Okay, so it's just going to be a mirror and a boomerang of your actual thoughts. So this is about the becoming the version of you who's already recovered, and the reality follows that, not the other way around. Okay, we're not chasing anything because we already are. We're already that person. And that's the thing. We've already became the person we've already become. Reality is just catching up. And that's the core principles of the reality transurfing. So the mirror analogy is so important. And this is something that you're going to understand way later on. Is if you see something in the mirror you don't like, you don't smash the glass because you're mad about it, but instead you change yourself first. And that's the thing, is a lot of times life situations happen to us, right? Things happen to us, and instead of just continuing to change ourselves so we don't get those situations, we react to it, we get angry, and the same thing happens. We try to fight the glass, we try to chase the reflection instead of changing the image that is being reflected. So fighting the symptoms is like fighting the reflection. Why are you fighting the reflection when if you change here, the reflection changes? So what happens is it just creates more and more distortion in the image, and you don't actually get to live the life you want to live. So what we're doing is embodying that person now, and the reflection changes without even you trying that hard, okay? And the way this is going to relate into DPDR is because these things feed the pendulum, which we're going to dive into what a pendulum is and why it works and how it works, which thrives off of attention and fear. So the more fear you actually show, the more the pendulum's going to swing, and the more you're going to lose control over your mind. So pendulums are the ways of I'm going to go dive. The first principle we're actually going to talk about when we actually start the series is pendulums. Pendulum is basically when you have a whole group of people thinking the same way, you're going to think like them. Okay, so you might have borrowed goals, you might have goals of other people. Anything could be a pendulum. So it could be like religion, could be politics, it could be DPDR, it could be getting rich as a pendulum. So pendulums are just like ways of thought and thinking. So that's kind of how it relates to DPDR. We're going to dive way deeper into this when we actually talk about it. But we have pendulums. They make recovery too important, which is called excess potential, and this makes balancing forces push away. And I talk about this a lot. When you want something so bad, you create excess potential, and it repels it away from you. So detaching actually gets us the result. And this can go for anything. When it comes to making money, when it comes to attracting your loved one, if you are so needy for in a relationship, it pushes them away. Same thing goes with their recovery. So they live as the person with DPDR instead of the person who's living. Okay. The thing is, so many people that have this fear, they continue to live with the identity of DPDR. So we're going to change that identity completely to shift our reality, shift the sector around. So what happens is the system flips all three patterns on their head, and then they continue to live in this cycle. So we're gonna use the reality reset method within reality transurfing principles. So we don't have to feed the pendulum. We don't have to continue to feed the pendulum, and something called induced transitions, which is the first phase, is going to go into pendulums and induced transitions. Induced transitions is spiraling, okay? Right now I could talk myself into anxiety and DPDR if I sat here for long enough and let myself spiral. So showing you guys how to break that spiral before it gets too bad, okay? Dropping inner pressure, which is inner importance. So we're going to be dropping the excess importance we put on our symptoms, the excess importance we put on how we feel, the excess importance we have on recovery. We're going to be going into how to actually drop that. Then we're going to be going into how to actually choose the recovered reality, meaning slides, how your brain's imagination is no different than the physical, and it doesn't know the difference. So you can imagine things and actually make that your reality by believing those things. Having clear intention, how to shift the variations in your life, how to live from it until it locks in. So living in that reality of recovery. So allowing it to be, like allowing yourself the right to be recovered. Waves of success. There's like the wave of fortune. Following when you do feel better and better, how to stay on that wave so you don't fall back into it. A lot of people, they feel better one day and then they can't fully get recovered because what happens is the next day they get hit with another wave. How to stay on that wave of fortune. We have the alternative flow. So how to shift to alternatives of the life that you actually want to live. How to express gratitude. Be the observer instead of the person that's so stuck in the reality being the effect to everything. So how to be the observer. So how to detach from all your problems. We will go into our job in the process, basically, is going to be committing to living as your recovered self now every day. And not just the recovered version of yourself, but the greatest, highest version of you. The version of you that's already recovered, but just built that discipline, built that consistency, built the confidence. That's who we're becoming. So we're basically what you're going to be able to do by the end of the series is treat symptoms like background noise and not even really care about them, because you're going to be able to detach from your problems. We're going to be applying these every single day. And the more you apply, the more you take action, the more notes you take when you actually watch the series, the faster it's going to click. What happens is, guys, recovery becomes a side effect of living in the right state. So what I tell people is you have to recover before you can recover. Okay? You have to literally recover before you can recover. Meaning by the time you're recovered, you've already recovered mentally before. So we're going to be learning how to literally become recovered now, like fucking instantly. And then your physical world will reflect that with a little bit of a delay. Okay? That's what we're doing. We're becoming recovered, and then there's going to be a little bit of a delay to where we actually feel our symptoms go away. Okay? The thing is, guys, this book changed my life. It will change yours, but you have to let it change your life. Because I could sit here and look at all this information and not actually use it. I could look at all the information I'm learning. I could just just look at it and be like, man, I don't need to use this. I don't need to take notes and not apply it, and it's useless. And the thing is, information without implementation doesn't mean shit. You have to apply. I can't stress that enough. You have to go out and implement what we talk about in this series, okay? And another thing is like, if you don't want it to be real, if you don't want these things to work, they won't work for you. Part of it, and what you understand is like, these principles exist regardless. So whether you want them to work for you or not, they exist. So you can either choose to use this to your advantage, or you can choose to not actually apply it into your own life. And one more thing is, the answer is always hidden behind the person who can see it. If you guys look at this and you're like, man, this is just BS information, it's because your lifestyle never exceeds your level of personal development, and your personal development hasn't been high enough to a point to where you can read this and actually interpret this. So if you look at the series and you're like, man, I'm not ready to actually go out and implement this, like, how do I do it? It's because you haven't developed yourself enough. I could give you all the answers, but if you haven't yet developed yourself into the person who has the discipline to actually apply these principles in the way they're thinking, it's going to be difficult for you to actually implement this book. So really focus on your personal development and then go out and implement these as well. But with that being said, we're going to dive right into the first step of the series, which is our first two modules, and it's pendulums and induced transitions. This is so important towards not spiraling and making your DPDR worse. With that being said, guys, that was just the introduction to the series. I'm going to be dropping different parts of the series on YouTube for free, but if you want the whole entire series, it's dropping very soon. Connect with me on Instagram. Link in the description. But we're all in this together, guys, and I really don't want you guys to take this lightly. Again, when it comes to your recovery, the thing is, guys, you could have all the information in the world, but without implementation, it doesn't mean anything. And a lot of times, the answer is hidden behind the person who could see it. So if you haven't yet developed yourself into the person who can go out and actually apply information of this level, like high-level information like this, it's going to sound like woo-woo bullshit, and you're not actually going to implement. So if this sounds insane to you, your lifestyle never exceeds your level of personal development, your personal development isn't high enough to actually implement something like this. So you might have to go out and work on your personal development. But if you understand these things and then go out and implement, your life will never be the same. Your perspective on life won't be the same, and you'll see how fast your life will change. So with that being said, guys, for the YouTube guys, this is going to be dropping. I'm going to be dropping the first principle of it likely tomorrow or the next day, but I'm going to be going into pendulums and how to not spiral and like lose your mind. It's going to be one of the first principles of actually transurfing put into the series for you guys. So with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video.